Hi, good morning, everyone. Today is August 10th, and this is the open meeting of the Design Review Committee. This open meeting is being conducted remotely pursuant to the Chapter 2 of the Acts of 2023, an act relative to extending certain COVID-19 measures adopted during the state of emergency, signed into law on March 29th, 2023. All members of the Design Review Committee are allowed and encouraged to participate remotely. The act allows the Design Review Committee to meet entirely remotely so long as reasonable public access is afforded so that the public can follow along with the deliberations of the meeting. The public is encouraged to follow along using the posted agenda unless the chair notes otherwise. Members of the public who wish to view the live stream of the meeting may do so by going to the Northborough Remote Meetings on YouTube via the link on the agenda. Ensuring public access does not ensure public participation. This meeting will not feature public comment. Members, when I call your name, please respond in the affirmative. Lisa Maselli?
Here.
Dario DeMar?
Here.
And I'm here. Staff, when I call your name, Lori Connors?
Here.
Will Bob be joining today or no?
I don't think she heard you.
Okay. The chair will invite each speaker or applicant on the agenda by name to make a presentation and speak to their application. Participants will provide their full name and hold until their name is called. Each speaker will be asked to mute their phone or computer when not speaking and to speak clearly and in a way that helps generate accurate meeting minutes. Those responding will be asked to wait until the floor is yielded to them by the chair. Each vote is taken by the board or committee will be conducted by roll call vote. It is now 8:34. And first on our agenda is 305, 309, not East Main Street, Boston Post Road.
West Main.
East Main Street, right?
Just
Yeah.
Main Street.
Yeah, just
Yeah.
me.
East Main.
No, it touches East Main, but it's not the address.
Yeah. I
Anyway.
looked quick at my drawing. It says Boston Post Road, so that's what.
Yeah, that's Route 20 and Route 9 in all these towns. It's crazy the multiple names that they have. It's
Right? And where the line switches from Main to east to west.
Hartford Turnpike in Shrewsbury. It's crazy. Anyways, Lori, should I do a share screen?
Yes, just 1 minute. Let me
Okay.
allow you to do that. You should be all set.
Okay. Let's try this. All right, is that working now?
Yes.
Okay. So happy to be before you this morning. We've had a couple iterations of this plan. And I think now with the input of both you folks and Planning Board and ZBA, I think we've got a really terrific plan to present to you. This version, I'll explain the differences between this version and I think the last one that Design Review saw. The couple biggest ones are that in response to trying to address the issue of the concern of possibly excessive use of the drive-through lane and that causing a problem of conflict either on site or even off site. What we did was we took the access onto East Main Street, where I'm circling the cursor. It was actually about 38 feet to the west before. We moved it further to the east to allow even more queuing in the drive-through lane. And that's created now where you could have 13 cars from drive-up window to over here queued. And just for a quick reference, how many is that? That's 2 more than are actually available at the Dunkin' Donuts site in the center of town. And that's Dunkin' Donuts. So anyways, so that, oops. I'm being asked to admit somebody. I assume this is Sam. I'm going to click yes, admit. Sorry if I'm overstepping my bounds of responsibility there, but
No, that's fine. You
okay.
beat me to it.
Okay. So we moved, so anyway, again, we moved this entrance onto East Main Street a little bit to the east. I think there had been one commentary previously by the people across the street over here who actually asked, Bob Federico, yes.
I got it.
Okay, who actually asked if we could move it because a bit because they complained. They said, this kind of lines up with our driveway. We'd rather that didn't. Anyways, that's one more thing, and just as quickly, this still allows us 367 feet sight distance looking this way, looking towards a car coming onto East Main from Route 20, which is actually more than enough for even the speed on Route 20. So we still have good sight distance. We gave ourselves a couple more car queuing in the lane again, and now we have even a few more spaces for queuing than is available at the Dunkin' Donuts for comparison. One of the other changes is that on the previous version of this, we had the drive-through exiting separately out onto Route 20. And now there was a good and a bad of that. The good was, okay, it's separate. You've got this out from any of the other traffic. The bad was that our traffic consultant, Scott Thornton, said, well, the problem is that at the point where that was coming out here, you've got 2 lanes in the westbound traffic, and you're just sort of finishing up 2 lanes in the eastbound traffic of Route 20. So the bottom line being that coming out here was not as good as the main entrance to the site, just because of worrying about traffic conflicts. But what we had worked up with that version of plans, after hearing the concerns that you folks had and planning board and ZBA, what about pedestrians and how are they going to get past the drive-through lane traffic. We had worked up a couple measures there, and we're adding those to this plan and doing one more thing. So there's going to be a sign right here, just as the driver leaves, alerting them to be aware of pedestrians crossing your lane of travel. There's a rumble strip here, so that a vehicle coming out, even if this person is looking at their phone, doing whatever, there'll be a rumble strip to alert them and get them to pay attention. And there's going to be a crosswalk set. This is actually 2+ car lengths out from the driver leaving the drive-through window, a crosswalk with extra striping across that. And now those were measures we had proposed on the plan with the drive coming out, straight out the drive-through to Route 20. The additional thing we're proposing now is, one of the causes for concern was that we had order windows on the east side of the building, and we were proposing pickup here on the front face on the south side. And the way this is going to be set up now is that the order windows and the pickup are all going to be on the east side. There'll still be a window here, but it's largely for aesthetic purposes. And order and pickup will all be on this side, so we're not going to be encouraging anybody to be milling around over closer to the drive-through lane. So, as I say, we like to think we've taken the best of the couple iterations of the plan before. We understood the concerns about wanting to avoid any conflict from the drive-through lane. We understood the concerns about wanting to avoid any conflict between drive-through and pedestrian traffic. And I know the concern that the design review that you folks had voiced before was, not entirely. We had originally just had this coming out without any, with pickup window here, without any extra measures for to have drivers be aware of possibility of pedestrians and keep them awake, if you will. And so we understand, and that was obviously a valid concern. And now we've reconfigured things. We've added some extra measures. We again have moved the pickup, and we think we've got a pretty reasonable plan for having drivers be alerted to the possibility, and also just not having those people set up to be milling around close to there. So those are the biggest changes to the plan. One more was that there was a review from the police department, which said that in the past they'd had a couple of odd accidents where people had, I'm not sure exactly how it came about, where people had, but it's Massachusetts, so who knows, where people had skidded onto this grass, I guess, in a couple instances. So we added a steel guardrail, basically from the, this parcel here where I'm circling with the cursor is 305 Main Street. So we added basically all along 305's frontage on Route 20 and around the curve, we added a steel guardrail to try and provide an extra level of protection, as was suggested and requested by the police department. I don't know if Larry wants to chime in on how he may have changed the landscaping plan versus the previous iteration.
Sure. Good morning, Larry Green. Actually, not a lot has changed as part of this design. We still have a very lush landscape plan, provides great blooming cycle, great variety of color, great buffering and screening. Kind of the main revision, which was minor, is James talked about reconfiguring the driveway on East Main. We just had to kind of reconfigure those plantings a little bit. And then, as James described on the drive-through, that just provided more green space around the picnic area. And those were kind of the two minor edits to the landscape plan.
Okay. And did we want to talk also? I know there was some Larry, in regard to the trees over here, and I think we were discussing how there was talk of, well, there's some of these there, a couple trees that may be actually in the East Main Street right of way and not on this property, and how those could just be left in place.
Yeah, we've talked about that. That as we know, I guess as we've talked about, that's not a really healthy plant community. There's a lot of invasive species in there. There's a lot of dieback. But as James described, there is room there to preserve some of that existing vegetation. So if during we get into tree clearing and we find that some of that plant community is healthy, we'll be glad to preserve it.
Yeah, because just I think this came in one of the comments that was forwarded to us by Michelle. That it was brought up, well, gee, is all of this stuff in the right of way? And I'm running the cursor here along the East Main Street right of way line. Now, just in the course of installing the sidewalk and and doing that, I'm sure there may be some vegetation taken out by that, but there still would be a strip of 10 feet or so that could remain if it's in the right of way, again, and not affected by the installation of a sidewalk. So again, we initially thought that because it was all in kind of rough shape and a lot of it being overgrown by invasives, that we would just take that out of there because it's really as I say, a lot of it in a rough shape. But there was again commentary from a couple of the folks, especially 181 and on the corner, saying gee, we really like the visual buffer that is there now from that, and we're perfectly fine with leaving what's in the right of way in place to the degree that's possible. So
I just had a quick question.
Sure.
I was looking back on some of my original notes, and we had asked for a street view. Did you ever have a chance to?
Oh, yeah, I got a couple of those here. Larry did them for the previous version, so I'm gonna This is actually looking from the parking lot at the east side of the building. Let's see, what's the other one I have? I've got 4 of these, but a couple of them show a different drive-through. And this is from east, this is almost the same view, but stepped back about 100 feet. This is from East Main Street, a car in front about the middle of the lot's frontage looking in. I can show the other one. So let's just bear with me a second. I'm just going to see. Let's see. All right, just keep in mind, this was for the previous version where the drive-through was going straight out to Route 20, but this shows the building front, the sign. Windows will still be here, but this won't, where I'm circling the cursor, this won't be a pickup window. So it's just going to be there for sort of symmetry and appearance, but it's not going to be the pickup window because, again, as I say, we don't want to encourage folks to be over on the drive-through side. And this, again, this is looking from the front. This is looking for sort of if you were actually just beyond where the drive-through is going to turn now, but you see the sign a little better and you get a little different perspective on the front. So
On this picture, I'm going to just jump in. Aren't there supposed to be 2 windows that are on the side, on the left side of the red panel? Or are they just going to be one?
this is the drive-through window.
Right. Is there not one before that? I thought the original plans had 2.
No, I don't think that's the case.
Okay, that's fine. Just double checking.
Yep, understand. So I know, did you want to, I can circle back to any of the other views that you, if you'd like, and just,
I wish it looked like that.
well,
Like there's no houses, it's a golf course in the background. That's lovely.
I was noting the new Mount Northborough in the background, but
Nice. It's picturesque out in the farmland. Should put a couple of cows back there.
the folks out on Hudson Street don't realize that their lots have been filled in to a height of 100 feet.
Is there any view from the East Main Street side from,
Larry, was there one? I don't think there was one.
No, everything was looking from the main road.
just to show like the plantings and what it will look
Oh.
like from the people who live on that side?
Sure. I think there's a big variable there, in that we're not sure exactly how much of that existing tree and bittersweet curtain is going to be remaining. So it's hard to say. It was hard to be sure that we're presenting a reasonable picture to folks of, okay, here's what you're going to be looking at. Is there going to be, none of that remaining, some of it, how much? And I think that was part of shying away from presenting the East Main picture, because we didn't want to give a representation that we couldn't be sure was reasonably accurate.
Okay. Do you mind if I open it for comments?
Of course not.
All right. Board members, do you have any comments or?
So,
Well, I do have a lot of comments. I like some of the changes that were made. Obviously, it's smarter to keep your curb cuts separated. First off, I guess I'll do the handicap comments, so that you've got 2 handicap parking spots in front of the building, and then when they come out to go to the picnic table, is the walk space, is it going to have a step down, I would assume, so that walk is handicapped compliant, and then coming out onto the picnic area. What did you say again? The materials that are going to be on, it's a paving stone walk. 5-foot paving stone walk. Does a stone walk have these little spots in between them that the wheels can get caught? Because I have somebody that I know that has an electric wheelchair. It's been having difficulty in many places lately getting caught. Is that walk considered when you're going into the handicapped accessibility?
that is considered, and I know there are different sorts of the paving stone walks, some of which have fewer, let's say, edges. And that is the intention here, that this be done such that it's, yes, it's a paving stone walk, but it's almost a smooth surface. Something that shouldn't be any difficulty for passage of a wheelchair.
Okay. And then when they go to the tables, is there one, like, maybe that was even in Lori's comments, is there a table set up specifically for that if in fact tables are put on the grass, or there's nothing that a rain comes and creates sogginess for the, again, for the wheels to get caught in?
I think the intention is that the nearest, one of the two nearest ones be set up for handicap accessibility, because this walk rises up as you go further towards Bartlett Street. So I'm not sure whether it would be the one further from Route 20 or the one closer, but one of those two is to be set up specifically for that.
Mhm. So that it would have like a pad or something underneath it? I mean, give me a little bit more. I don't think we've talked about that in landscaping as the detail of what's happening, you know, underneath those tables. Is it all grass? Is it rock? Is it?
Sure. I think you're right in the suggestion of the pad, because you can't just have a grassed surface. Obviously, like as you're suggesting, you get what shockingly around here, you get a stray thunderstorm every third day, and that grass becomes hard to pass on.
Right.
So I guess I could touch on that in reference to I'll call it the ice cream sitting area. Our vision was that's all to be lawn area underneath the picnic tables. And then to your point, yeah, there's one, we'll probably designate one of those picnic tables to be handicap accessible, have it so they can have the table so they can roll up next to it. And that'll probably be a stone dust path to mimic the existing stone dust that's there.
Again, you know, stone dust, water, you have to consider the changes of wheelchairs now. There's some obviously with the big wheels that they used to have where you push somebody out on. And then there's some where we have, you know, people who are more independent and have electric wheelchairs, which have a 4-inch clearance to the ground. And those chairs are even, they're so difficult because of the weight. Number one, you can't move the person off the chair if it gets caught. And you have to find a way of lifting them up off of an area that, like even this gravel, it has to be so hard packed that it's not going to move. And
Yep, that's the intent.
and so, I mean, and that should be, I think that should be on our landscape plan, right? That's
Yeah,
specific.
I can add the stone dust pathways to those. It's actually probably going to be 2 picnic tables that will be ADA compliant. And I can provide a detail of that stone dust pathway.
So that's my first thought. Again, we're gonna go back to something that we only touched on a little bit, but we still have a very modern building that looks like a Burger King or a Dunkin' Donuts, Burger King more likely, because many of the materials look like Burger King has them. We have made no attempt to make it more New Englandy. Is there a way that we can do something like that? Because this is very boxy, very modern, and that area doesn't, you know, it should be what we've asked for in the master plan.
I wish Tom were here to speak in response. But we've actually, I mean, from the different meetings, I think we've got a pretty positive response to the style of this building. We showed these pictures at the ZBA, and one ZBA member was complaining it's not going to look that good, as his objection. It's hard to say. I mean, you say New England. You got a whole variety of styles in this area, and I wish Tom were here to speak more specifically in this. But
And James, this is Dario. I'll speak a little bit to that. We have a lot of variety of, we'll just say, old classic design, whether it's colonial or Cape or Victorian. This is none of those, so that we can be pretty clear about that. And one thing I had commented the first time I saw this, saying, oh, I like the building, and I do, or did. And then went back and read all the design review codes and manuals and read the master plan, and everything in there said quaint New England style looking, like the big red sign could have actually kind of across the street. I think they tried to do that. It could have a little gable on the top that makes it tie in to more New England style. That big red wall is nowhere in any building 50 to 150 years old. And I think that's what we were hoping to get. If you looked at the old ice cream place just down the street from here, it's beautiful with all the pergolas and everything. And I'm not really asking for pergolas, but there's nowhere in any of the manuals that you'll find a building that looks like this in the sections of this is good, this is not good. So all the examples in both the master plan and design review committee guidelines do not show things like this.
Sure. I guess sort of devil's advocate question back on that is, was that expected to be exhaustive of everything that's acceptable? I mean, I'm just wondering if it's a little different. I'm not the architect.
Not at all, James. It's not exhaustive, but when there's 20 examples that all look like 100-year-old buildings, and this isn't even close, then we're not saying copy those, but it's not close to anything there. That's the point.
Okay. Again, we'll pass along to Tom the
Okay, thank you.
comments. Again, I wish he could be here to respond, but he's on vacation, I guess.
But
You guys don't go back to the ZBA in August, right? It's September.
Correct.
So maybe Tom could come in September and talk to it, because I agree, like, this does look like a Burger King or a Wendy's, or even the way the canopy is very mechanical looking. It's not like. And very
Contemporary.
modern.
it's a beautiful building. We like, there's no question it's a beautiful building, but it's so modern. The red just jumps out at you. And in the location that it's at, which again is somewhat questionable, because, you're coming from a stoplight if you're heading east. And that stoplight has 2 lanes that break down into one just in front of this. So in front of Bacon's, there's a double lane that goes into a single lane heading east. And people are trying to beat that light all the time. And so the people who go into the right lane of those 2 straight lanes rush to get to that, to jump in front of the people that are in the regular lane. And there's not that much, it looks like there's 4 cars or 5 cars difference from the intersection to where you're going to be opening the ice cream. So when you're looking here to there, the speed that people are picking up to come here, and if somebody's starting to come and decide, oh, I want to go have ice cream now, or anything else, what happens to that line of traffic? The danger, to the pedestrian walking or people driving is, it's a concern as well. I mean, it's a very difficult area, because that's where you want the trucks are coming into Bartlett Street down there, and you've got your large vehicles, that are already hitting Bartlett Street with the curb. They roll over that sometimes. It's a very, very, very busy and dangerous intersection.
Understood. It's a site on Route 20, and that has its attendant concerns of the speed of traffic and where is your access relative to an intersection. And again, that's why both from feedback from boards and from our own traffic consultant, why we, as I'm moving the cursor here, why we took this drive-through exit away from here, because this is where there are still 2 lanes, and move it so that the only entrance is as you face the building now, the rightmost existing entrance, which is after the double lanes on each side.
Hmm.
Yeah,
So if
we
you're coming out,
understand.
if you're coming out there from the drive-through and you're gonna turn left on the 20, and the guy wants to turn right, and someone's trying to leave that park there, coming out of the drive-through, and it seems like the minute you get out the drive-through, you could hit someone coming out of the parking lot or someone coming in fast. You're gonna block their way out as you hit, because the drive-through hits right at the entry.
Mhm.
And then you have got snow piled there when you say, oh, and we're gonna stack all our snow here as well. That makes that intersection pretty tough coming out if that's where you're gonna have 6-8 feet of snow, and then you want everybody exiting and entering at the same point, including the drive-through.
Sure. Well, snow is not, I mean, for a vehicle who's leaving here, whose nose is at, presumably at the curb line, a driver will be able to see, you're looking to the west, you're looking at an angle, over here. This is, I'm probably not doing this very well with trying to trace a line of sight here with the cursor, but you're looking over to the sort of the bottom side of the sheet, if you will, more towards the traffic. And to this side, yeah, you're looking closer here, but we're not proposing to put any snow here.
The arrow's right there where it says snow. If you
Yeah.
zoom in on that.
Yeah.
Can you zoom in on that?
It's not, I guess I thought it'd be visible already, but okay. It's snow
Yeah, it
storage
says snow
here.
right there, and then you got the snow from Route 20 piled there as well, stacking it on the other side.
Yeah.
It just seems there's a lot going on there, including mounding snow. And maybe they won't be. Is this supposed to be open all year long?
Yes,
Okay.
and again, that's that
A lot of
was
action going on in one spot.
sure. Yeah, and that's, I mean, some of this is attendant upon any business using Route 20. You're going to have, some challenge with making sure your sight lines are okay, and the speed of traffic. That's part of the background of any business on Route 20.
Yeah, and I think the drive-through is what complicates it, because you've got your arrow showing in and out, but you don't have an arrow going from the left to the right, hitting those two arrows. You do have one behind showing where the cars are coming in,
Sure.
but not where they're exiting.
Sure.
It just makes it, if it meets all the DOT standards, that's fine. It just seems awkward to stack snow and have, 5 ways of in and out in one spot, and then
Okay.
hidden by piles of snow.
Understood, and maybe we move snow storage. I know there's an area over
Yeah,
here.
that's great there. Exactly.
That would be appropriate. Maybe that would be a better location. Yeah, that's a good point. We probably could have put some more thought into that snow storage location.
And I do agree with Dario. I mean, the drive-through, and there's only one in business zone B. This is now bringing in a whole new set of action, because people that are driving through and coming in and coming out are different, taking a different stance than when it was a restaurant. You're coming in, you're parking your car, you're going in to eat, then you come out, you get into your car, and then you leave. So the mentality of being in my car and getting my ice cream and coming through, I want to be there quickly. When I want to get out, I want to be getting out quickly. And this intersection is not going to really help that much if, in fact, we've got three tractor trailers stacked up at the light going to take a left onto Bartlett, and I want to take a left.
Well, I would just note, it is the existing intersection. It's the landscape. I'll go back to another sheet, excuse me. So let's try, oops. Oh, went the wrong way, sorry. Just take a second here. Okay. On this sheet, it's the site layout plan, which just takes all the contouring existing and proposed off. This is the existing sign right now, and this, where I'm circling the cursor, is one of the 2 existing entrances onto 20. So we're actually taking away the one that was, I guess you could say more problematic or more difficult of the two existing entrances onto 20.
And I appreciate that, but again, I'm saying that a drive-through puts a whole different light on what's happening on the property. And this is what you show, if you've got 13 cars stacked and ready to buy ice cream, which is pretty amazing. I don't know, I mean, maybe it's better to close that entrance and just do the one on East Main, and then you come around and you have more control coming down Bartlett Street. So you can come in east if you want to, or you can use that light to control more of the activity.
Well, I mean, for a business that's on Route 20 with the building facing Route 20, it'd be kind of odd. I mean, imagine you're an eastbound driver. You go to you're at the intersection of Bartlett Street, you stopped, you see the building, you say, oh, okay, that's interesting. Maybe I'll go get some ice cream. Now it's not immediately clear how you can even get in there if there's no entrance onto Route 20.
That's true.
Maybe it's entrance
that would
only,
seem to be a bit unfair to the business owner.
or you can do entrance only.
That's true.
Could consider that.
That would solve a lot, even with the drive-through. And then
Well,
when you
I
come
mean-
out the back, you're right there off of Route 20. You can go either way, east or west off of East Main.
We're looking at a whole series of things, trying to figure out with the help of the traffic consultant, is a turn restriction to not have lefts worthwhile? What are the pros and cons of that, and how reasonable is that? That was the other issue we were looking at. I guess I'd be hesitant to say entrance only, because I think especially a right turn out of the proposed Route 20 access, I think is perfectly reasonable. You have terrific sight distance. You're before the lanes have split. I would definitely fight back on saying, no exit at all, not even right turn, because I think that's a pretty safe movement. But we could look in and discuss the lefts, yes.
Well, and you're going to have to, the one in East Main, you can't get back onto 20. That East Main does not come two ways onto 20. It's west.
Correct. It's only if you took a right turn, you only have the option of going westbound. But if you went left, you can go, I'm moving the cursor too fast, sorry. You can go up East Main and then take the left onto Bartlett, and then the left at the light.
Right, which again helps with control of traffic.
Yeah.
But I'm pretty sure I don't even think you can you, I guess Laurie might know better, can you do that U-turn around that little island, that corner of the island, or does it just stop? Because I don't remember ever being able to just kind of, down East Main Street, I made a mistake, I'm going to come back west. I thought it was a one-way in.
Yeah, if you went right out of the entrance onto East Main Street, your only option is to follow to the right side of the island. The island is here, the vegetated island. Your only option is to turn and go westbound on Route 20.
So you can, because I honestly thought that was just
At
one
least
way.
I do it all the time.
So, so how do you?
So
They drive,
traffic
right?
leaving onto East Main Street can go westbound, or it can, go up to Bartlett and then the light and go eastbound.
Okay.
And both are pretty reasonable. Yes, going eastbound requires a couple turns, but a very short distance.
And I have to agree with Dario, then I think a one-way in would be much safer.
And I'm not, again, I'm not saying, hey, that's what we should, I'm just looking at that, it seems like there's a lot going on there, that's all, and. You know, I think. You got a couple things different here than Dunkin' Donuts. You know, Dunkin' Donuts, I can drive in, get a coffee, and before I get to the window, it's done. So I think that's a really fast drive-through. You know, and iced coffee, it'll take 30 seconds, but if I've got my 3 kids in the back and, you know, one wants a extra large with red sprinkles and the other guy wants, you know, whipped cream and this, that order is gonna take them, you know, and I've been in enough ice cream places 4 or 5 minutes because everything is custom made, where Dunkin' Donuts has 20, you know, pots of coffee ready to go and a million donuts sitting on the shelf.
I don't know if Sam is on the line and wants to speak to it. I know the intention was that the drive-through menu be somewhat pared down to try and address just that.
Oh, great, yeah.
Because just what you're saying, if you're trying to do, you know, the banana split and one wants chocolate jimmies on it and the other one wants all, you know, multicolored, and, you know, you could go into all these different permutations of to the point it'd be almost ridiculous.
You know, and then I get an ice cream cone as I'm trying to negotiate that intersection. I'm also trying to lick the ice cream so it doesn't drip on my lap. There's the defensive tactic of a ice cream cone sitting there for 8 minutes after I place my order, starting to get drippy. Anyway, it's actually real stuff, you know, and I say it kind of facetiously, but it's different than a cup of coffee sitting in a coffee holder.
I understand. And again, the input that we're getting from you folks and from planning and from ZBA, taking it as serious as a heart attack, and trying to work out a version of this that addresses them all and works for the functioning of the site. And again, I think I would push back on no exit to Route 20, especially the right turn, because I think that's still is a really safe movement. But you know, we could discuss the left turn.
Okay. And you know, further questions now lead me to think that if you've got a queue of that many cars, you're going to want to do signage inside like they do at the Dunkin' Donuts, or they do at the, you know, different drive-throughs that are going to tell you what your options are. You're not going to come up to that window and then tell them what their options are, because you're not going to sit at the window and decide what it is. So
Yeah.
has that a sign that we've even seen or discussed? Like, what is it going to look like? Where is it going to be placed?
I'm moving the cursor right now at the order board location. I don't have a picture of that board for you, but the intention is that the order board be here, what is it, 1, 2, 3, 4, 4 spots from the pickup window. We have not worked up a look for that.
And that I would assume is going to be interlit, because you're going to have nighttime ice cream pickup at 8 o'clock or 9 o'clock in the winter.
You would have to have, well, it would have to have some lighting, yes. It could be, you know, it could be whenever business starts in the morning. You've got one of our lovely days recently of dark overcast clouds before the skies open up, and you know, and the lighting obviously would be necessary.
So when would we see that, or when is that going to be designed?
That's actually being worked on along with the order boards on the side of the building. I'm just going to jump back to the, wrong one. The picture here. Now, this was to show where these order boards would be located, but Sam and his team on that side were working on the exact look of these boards, and at the same time would be the order board, which on this perspective is going to be, you know, back here somewhere. The look of that.
Okay. And I assume that the ones on the wall will be electronic as well. The ones that boxes that you show would probably be electronic.
Actually, I know Sam is on the line. I'm not sure that that's going to be the case for those, because there could be lighting above here on the overhang or on the wall. So Sam, are you here? Nope. All right, I thought he was, but maybe
James,
not.
James, I think, you know, if it looks a far the New Englandy comment, if the light is mounted in the soffit shining down on the building, that's kind of the best way to light a building because we never see the source of the light. There's not a big glow from far away. And yet you can wash
Right.
that wall. It's an elegant way of lighting a building if it's, you know, soffit underneath the soffit because nobody ever sees the fixture and yet you get the light for both function and safety. I'm a huge advocate of that versus surface mounted lights on a building that, yes, it lights the parking lot, but I can literally see it from a mile away because it's a big bright bulb that it's not spilling foot candles anywhere, but I can still see it from a mile or two away, a light bulb. And
Excellent point. Excellent point.
And you got it built in. So I think that's really cool if you do that and just have soffit mounted, whether they're pointing at the lights or going straight down or every other one. It's an elegant and an inexpensive way to light a building.
Okay. I'm making notes. I'm gonna make that point. That may already be what Sam and Tom have in mind, but I'm gonna make that point to them.
I did get a message from Sam. Unfortunately, his mic's having trouble with his mic today. He's traveling on the road, so he apologizes that he's trying to get his mic to work, but he's not positive he can jump on.
Oh, I just had a thing about admitting someone with a phone number, so maybe. Sam, are you here?
Hey, James, can you hear me?
Yep.
Okay, sorry about that. My mic wouldn't work.
Technology.
Okay. James, I just have a couple things to say. One with the order board, we're not going to minimize the ice cream menu at the drive-through. I don't want to discuss too much of how our operation works, but we're designed inside that property or that kitchen to deliver everything you're going to order as fast as possible. And I don't disagree with Dario that everything is going to be custom made, but we have a system inside that expedites that delivery pretty quick. So we're pretty confident we can get that person in and out of the drive-through pretty quickly, regardless of the order they stack up for us. And I'm sorry, I might have missed something else. Did you have a question that I missed it? I had to hang up and call back to get the mic to work.
Sure. Sam, Dario was just raising the issue. The question had been asked, how is that, how is that going to be lit? We're looking at on the screen now at the east face of the building where the order and now pickup window will be. And their menu boards, just blank squares are showing. And the question was, how is that going to be lit? And Dario was suggesting, well, if you had a lighting from the soffit, it wouldn't be, it would light that, but also wouldn't be seen from a distance. And was suggesting.
Right, Dario's right. Dario's right. Tom Reardon has lights above that are in the soffit that will, when the light spills over, it will light those boards up. We didn't want to light the boards electronically or anything. We didn't want to have that look on the building. But they will be visible via the soffit light above.
Perfect.
Can I jump in then? Are they going to be electronic signs or hand painted signs? What are the signs going to actually look like?
They're just going to be printed out, not printed, but, spelled out. We haven't decided if we're going to do the chalk every day to change it up or it's just going to be printed. We're not doing any electronic signage on the building.
All right, thank you. And I guess, are there going to be signs in the glass in the windows? Are they going to be specials or come and get your Coca-Cola like we have a lot of lately? Or is the building going to be kept pretty clean?
You won't see that. That's not our objective. The windows, like I said, the daily menu might get changed on the order board, but there will be no, like $1.99 Coke and a, blah, blah, blah. We don't intend to do that.
Thank you.
I had a question about the parking as we're looking at it. You notice the ones in the middle where there's no parking spaces, no bollard. I was wondering if we still should have a bollard there. I'm concerned. I drove around to other ice cream places like Yeoman's and Kimball's in Lancaster, and they don't have any cars that back up or park near where people stand in line. Like if you go to Yeoman's, there's actually like, they'd have flower planter boxes there that would block but they don't have spaces there. That's what I'm saying. So it is concerning. It was brought up at the planning board that having cars facing where people are going to be standing and ordering. So
Sure.
I'm looking at the one without the bollard, a car backing out from across the way could go right through there by mistake if someone steps on the wrong pedal. And would a bollard really stop a car if they're, like, I know the town common, someone drove through the granite and they got right through it. I'm concerned with the spaces there.
Sure, I mean, I'm circling the cursor here over there, the hatched margin between the handicap spaces. We just didn't think we should put a bollard there, but we could put a couple of bollards and leave width, more than adequate width for a wheelchair while still being an adequate block for a car. We just saw again the hatched space between the HC is something we were trying to leave open for the handicap customer, but we could do additional bollards to block that.
Yeah, it's just concerning. Like, do you need the spaces there? I just tried to look at the building, at the drawings, and I think you have, what, 34 spaces? I was wondering how many you needed.
30 now. We actually, in the course of, I didn't point that out, in the course of changing the site plan, whoops, sorry, I'm going to jump up a couple sheets. In the course of moving the entrance onto East Main Street over, there were a couple of parking spaces here, 4 total, that we took out. So it was 34, now 30.
How many are necessary? How many are mandated? Do you know?
It's actually on the basis of, because there's no seating inside for customers, it's on the basis of employees, where our requirement is only something on the order of a dozen if you read the literal wording of the zoning bylaw. Now, we don't think that's actually reasonable. And we wanted to also make, again, both for handicap customers and those who, while they might not have a handicap plate, are maybe having a tough time walking or don't want to walk very far, have some easy access for them to walk up and order.
Can you bring back the picture for a second?
Sorry, to the picture?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Like, I was wondering, could you put the handicapped on the side and not just in front of the lines? I am a little concerned with cars parking right in front of the windows. Like, if you just took out the ones that are,
What I guess I'm not sure what you mean when you say to the side.
so like those 2 handicap spots I see,
Yeah.
maybe you get pushed to the left and the right, and then there's no parking in front of the ice cream window lines. I did drive around to a lot of ice cream places, which was fun to do. But I did notice that the ones that I went to had no parking in front of where people stood in line.
Sure.
You
I
may-
guess we could look into that. I hadn't really considered that.
Yeah, if you check them out, I did try to check out quite a few to see what they did, and because sometimes even like at Yeoman's, it's so popular, the line goes really long,
Right.
and it would go into the parking spaces. And I don't know, I just feel for safety reasons, you don't want to put cars pulling in where there are little kids standing.
Yeah,
In
and
the bollards.
I think that's a great idea. And maybe pushing them up to the north, those 3 places on the north, right next to the crosswalk, but I've even seen people park in the lined area that you're supposed to walk in, even at the post office. People have just go and pull right into that, even though they're not supposed to.
But I guess on these suggestions, aren't we deviating away from, right, per ADA, we're supposed to provide parking at the most accessible path?
Yeah.
Right, but if they're just to the north and south or left and right, then it's not deviating that much. It's moving over a space or two.
But you guys were just telling that you want to be ADA compliant, so now you're asking these people to roll farther.
Does ADA compliant mean that you have to park right in front of the window?
We're providing the most accessible path.
Right, I'm just concerned about safety.
Agreed.
Again, we're looking at a constellation of things here to try and figure out how to, make another refinement of this, and we'll look into that seriously.
Okay, good. You've been great. Thank you so much for being so.
We're, like I say, we understood that there were going to be multiple iterations of this plan. We
Yeah.
understood, especially with getting input from 3 different boards and, folks in the area, that, people were going to come up with ideas and maybe have emphasis or perspective on things that we weren't considering.
Mhm.
And, we understood this was going to be the process, and we're trying to work with everyone.
I appreciate it. Can you take the cursor and just show me where the sidewalks are actually going to be?
Sure. Now, over on East Main Street, the sidewalk right now, I'll get it wrong exactly where it ends. I think it ends at the driveway on the north side of this corner property. So I think it ends right here, and we're just going to pick it up on the other side of their driveway, run it along the curb line, and get into the site, and then over to the parking.
Oh, it's for the, okay.
I'm gonna just move over at the intersection right now. I believe the sidewalk ends sort of at the corner, and we're gonna bring the sidewalk past our frontage of 305 Main Street, which is the smaller parcel here on the corner. We're gonna bring it past our Route 20 frontage of that. We're gonna bring it over to basically in front of the building. We're gonna join the walk from the picnic table area and across to the wider concrete walk in front of the building, and again, order board and pick up over here.
Okay. And it's going to be contiguous, I imagine, on the Bartlett Street coming over?
Yeah, there is walk here now, and it gets to the corner and just stops.
Yeah.
So again, our initial discussions with Lori and Fred, there was a desire to, at least get to the entrance, get the sidewalks that are there now to the entrance on both sides, again, from the other side of the parcel to the west, ending at his driveway, bring that to the site, take the sidewalk from the corner of Bartlett and Route 20 to the site.
Okay.
And we wanted to, there was discussion about, additional sidewalk, and we want to get it sidewalk into the site. We're not trying to bring pedestrians past the entrance. But we're going to bring them in front of the building, join the walk to the picnic table, and get them to the walk adjacent to the building to the order board and the pickup.
Okay.
James,
And
I'll throw in 2 cents, and it may even save you a little bit of money. But which everybody likes to do, but it may work better, but it's 100% up to you. Where you get the sidewalk and it makes the left into the site.
Yeah.
If you just do a straight line between there and the crossing, because people aren't going to make those right-hand zigzags in the grass. They're going to cut through the grass.
You're right.
Just make it a straight line, because people are lazy. And I'm not saying you have to do it, but it just, everybody kind of wins
Right.
because they're gonna take the shortest distance between 2 points. And it's less paving, and then people aren't gonna walk across those corners because we don't walk like robots or Pac-Man.
You're right. You're
Does
right.
that make sense?
You're right. We should have thought of that. And I think of my own habits as a pedestrian. I'm sure I would be putting a foot on the grass there.
Everybody, anyway, it's a cheap, no comment, but it's just,
Right.
2 years later, you're gonna pave it.
You're right. Should have thought of that.
No big deal. It's my OCD.
Sometimes as the engineer, you get a overly great sense of how well you can direct people. And you have to pull that back now and then because you can't, people are going to do what they're going to do most of the time.
Yes. There was a campus in Ohio where the guy didn't pave it until it was occupied for a year. Then they just paved all the dirt paths. Well, because the
Let's see where they
students are
go.
gonna dictate. You can do anything you want to do, but human nature is gonna prevail.
You're right. You're right.
Anyway, sorry
Okay.
about, but it's simple, I think.
Good point.
So my last question then with the sidewalks and the handicapped accessibility, so there's ramps obviously that are coming in from the East Main Street side that, once you're on the sidewalk, it just opens it up to bring you into the lot if you wanted to take your wheelchair and drive down the sidewalk to attend. Because I do know somebody who would be doing that.
Sure. These actually, I'm circling the cursor. There would be the ramp and the tactile pad here, and there would be the ramp and the tactile pad here, and this would be a ramp and pad here. So probably you actually would have it in 3 locations at the sidewalk entering from East Main Street.
Okay. All right, so that's important. So, but the pad on the east facing side kind of goes to nowhere though, right? Looks like that sidewalk just stops.
Yeah, because the problem is that the other alternative is that you run them in, but you'd be running them adjacent to the drive-through traffic.
Right.
And then trying to get them across it or having them cross the path of the drive-through traffic. Imagine a car as somebody's on Route 20 and maybe they live on Little Pond Road on the section further west and say, oh, they're driving home and say, oh, I'm going to go get an ice cream. So they're coming in here and we just didn't want to have we wanted to have the one crossing, but not have them try and cross that path within the site itself.
Yeah, that's a great idea. And then I'm thinking next is that where you do have it to the east and they're coming off and, put yourself in the chair and you're driving down and you get to the end of the curb, you still need a crosswalk to cover yourself to get over to this other crosswalk to get to the building. Because right now you're just coming into a parking lot where people can be pulling in and out. So there's got to be some connection between there, right, to get to the next.
Yeah, there's actually one thing I'll put a knock on Larry here. There's supposed to be an indication of a walk right here. This is a little label, a 4-foot walk. We're not exactly certain how to indicate the travel from end of walk here to walk here.
Okay.
And again, it goes past several cars, so it's a little gray area for how to delineate that, but we'll put some thought into that. It's a good point.
Great, thank you so much.
Okay. So board members, if you don't have any more questions, we're going to open up to see if Lori and Bob have any questions. Lori, do you want to go through? Maybe we hit on a lot of the points in your memo that are still open-ended.
Yeah, I have forwarded this memo to James.
Yep.
And I assume that you are going to address all these comments. If not, then do you want to talk about the ones that you don't want to address?
I don't know that there are any. I think we did send in a letter asking for a waiver in regard to you were saying that the of the standard interval of spacing of street trees rather than clustered as we're showing. I think other than that, we are going to give you all the items you were requesting.
Yeah, that, just a clarification on that is right now you are showing no trees at all, no shade trees at all on Route 20. And the bylaw requires you to show 24 street trees. So your memo doesn't ask for relief from those 24 street trees. So I would suggest that you revise your letter and ask for the
Okay.
waiver, because you are required to provide street trees on East Main Street, which you provide, but you're providing none of the trees on Route 20.
Okay, sure. I mean, and there's obviously two reasons for that. We were trying to beef up as much as we could the vegetation to be on East Main Street, and we're as you might guess, not wanting to decrease visibility from Route 20. But I guess I will reword the waiver request. I apologize. I thought I had got it right, but I'll reword that.
You're not planning on putting any street trees on?
Well, I think we're gonna go with, we want to go with the landscaping as shown here, which clusters and concentrates the plantings at the East Main Street side. Again, trying to remake the buffer that's there, that with the removal of the trees in poor condition and the invasive species stuff, what vegetative curtain as there is. We felt it was more important to use the 41 trees towards the East Main Street side. And again, obviously not, divulging a secret, the applicant wants visibility from the Route 20 side.
Right, but I would recommend street trees on Route 20. Like, we've been going through a master plan and streetscapes and sidewalk plans, and street trees is something that's been very important and been in the forefront. So street
Well,
trees,
I mean,
and I don't,
I just want to emphasize, it's not that there are no plantings on the Route 20 side of the property. I'm circling the cursor now through all the shrubbery proposed on the by the intersection with Bartlett. And again, we have plantings proposed through all of this area. But that's is lower stuff. It's gonna look wonderful, but we don't want to detract from the visibility. And we thought it again was more important to use those 41 trees towards the East Main Street side.
So on landscaping, the street trees, we basically calculated using the frontage on East Main, Boston Turnpike and Bartlett, was that James, the reference number James gave was like 41. We exceed that number on street trees as a project total. And then as James said, we also provided extensive plantings on the corner of Bartlett and plantings in front of the parking lot to accent that and to screen it.
Well, can you take some of those out and put them in the areas to create at least a little shade coming in for the area? You've got people walking on the sidewalk. You've got you've got global warming. There's a lot of reason why the shade trees are necessary.
I think we stated that this landscape design is what we'd like to push forward through, and providing a great buffer and accenting and screening, but leaving somewhat of the access along Route 20 visible.
okay. Well, I don't think I think we're gonna have to continue to next time anyways, because Tom Reardon is here, not saying we're done, but I know one of my comments in a letter would be to have the street trees on Route 20, because it's been a major part of our master plan. So if I was the board that was approving this, I wouldn't waive all the trees. Just to let you know, I'm not trying to be hard on you, but I know that I wouldn't waive all the street trees on Route 20 if I was on the approving board.
Okay, I mean, we'll look at this and maybe we can reach a reasonable accommodation that both sides can live with.
Great.
Thank you. Were there any others on Lori's email? You're gonna,
I think that was the only issue where we would say that we're not simply say that we're going to provide the information she requested.
So there's a traffic study that Laura, you requested, is that correct?
No, they submitted a traffic study, so I think that that is sufficient. I don't think that any additional traffic study is necessary at this time. I do believe, though, that the traffic engineer is planning on submitting supplemental information to the ZBA, but that
I think
wasn't my request. I think that came out of the public hearing.
I think that's correct, Lori. He is working on some additional information.
okay. Bob, you had your hand up and it was a super long time ago, but I don't know if you remember what it was now, what we were talking about. It was at the very beginning.
I remember what it was, and through your discussions, the situation has been settled.
Okay. I just wanted to make sure, like, I think someone was talking and I didn't want to interrupt, and then the next thing you knew, we had passed by. Okay, so Lori, do you have any other comments?
I don't.
Board members, any other comments?
Yeah, I know.
Okay. So since you're going in front of the ZBA in September, would you plan on coming back to us in September also?
Sure.
Answering the things that Lori had asked for in our letter and some of the changes we talked about today. I think building design is a big one. If you go back and talk to Tom Reardon, and he must have a copy of the design review guidelines, and we have them online.
He probably helped write them.
Right,
He did.
right.
So, yep, we will go back. And what is the date of that your meeting in September?
The second Tuesday.
Oh, second.
I mean, yeah, it's Thursday, I mean, sorry.
Okay.
I don't have it. Let's see. 14th?
Okay.
September 14th.
Okay, we will take all the input we've gotten here, and we will try and address things we can go straight to addressing. And if there's things where we have to see if there's maybe a way to strike a balance, maybe we'll talk to Lori and staff, and we will try and give you a satisfying response on all these items.
Okay. All right, thank you so much.
Thank you. Folks have been great.
Thank you.
Thank you.
You.
Okay, so next on our agenda, we had 2 sets of minutes. And let me see. Just gonna pull it up. The first set of minutes were from June 14th. And Lori had sent out a copy with revisions yesterday.
Excuse me, James, can you stop sharing your screen?
I thought, oh, sorry, I thought I did.
Thank you.
Sorry about that.
Thanks, James.
So the first set of minutes were from June 14th. I don't know if anyone else had any changes. No? Okay. Do I hear a motion to approve the minutes from June 14th, 2023? Oh.
There were a number of questions in your minutes that you sent out.
Okay.
So I don't think you want to approve them with the questions.
Oh, no, I never, if I add questions, I don't think we ever have to approve them with the question on, it's just a side note.
Oh, okay.
And
So
I
there
don't,
was one question for Bob, since he's here.
okay, can you read it? I don't have it open right now.
So this had to do with the comment, Mr. Frederico believed an 18-inch perimeter of non-combustible material is required around foundations, and that typically a layer of stone is added or something equally non-combustible, after which plantings are added. And your question was, Bob, is this just a requirement around foundations for multifamily or townhouses, not single family?
You're muted. I was just curious if that 18 inches of,
It's a requirement in the building code and in the residential code.
is it for houses too, or just multifamily houses and commercial?
Not multifamily houses and commercial only. Single family residential is not required, but it's highly recommended.
Okay, I
Can't
was
force
just,
it on a single family house, but it is an enforceable code section for commercial and multifamily.
oh, okay, thank you. I was
This
just
would,
curious.
this would be considered that, right? This would be considered a commercial multifamily use.
For what? What address?
For 129 Maple.
Absolutely,
Okay.
absolutely.
Do we have any idea of what's happening with it? No?
Haven't heard a thing.
He continued, right, until September?
They did continue. I think they're trying to figure out a new approach given town council's response.
Okay.
Thank you.
All right.
So you had another question. Mr. Gallant discussed the architectural plans, and then you highlighted, Mr. Gallant said that they were trying to keep it straightforward. And then your question was not sure what this means. So would you like to change the wording?
I think what he said was, you
Or
know, we
we
were
could
talking
just
about,
delete it altogether, delete that sentence.
you could delete it altogether, because I think it was a discussion about how he wanted to do this certain type of housing because of the code. Like it was easier if they were attached than if they were all one house. But I didn't understand when I read it what he meant by keeping it straightforward. So, yeah, we could
Yeah,
just take
I
it out.
agree. It was confusing. So my suggestion is just to delete it.
Okay,
And then you added some language. So it's highlighted.
yeah, and you don't have to leave it highlighted. I
Right.
just did that
Yep,
to draw
I would
attention
change
to it.
that. Yep. All
I
right.
actually
That
have
was awesome.
read some way back minutes, and they do still have the highlights in them. Not all of them, but there was one, I don't remember the date.
Oh, if you can tell me what the date is, I can fix that.
Okay.
And then we
If I
can
see it.
upload it again.
Yeah. Okay. So do we have a motion to approve the June 14th, 2023 minutes as amended?
I make a motion to accept the June 14th, 2023 minutes as amended.
Do I have a second?
I don't know if I can because I wasn't there, but I'll second it if I'm legally allowed to.
Sure. We'll accept it.
You can
Okay.
accept it though, Amy, can't you?
Yep, I could accept the second,
Okay.
probably. All right, roll call vote. Lisa Maselli,
Yes.
Dario DeMar,
Yes,
and Amy Pertzke's and yes. And then the second set of meetings were July 13th. I don't think there were any changes, right?
No,
You didn't send me any.
no, I just had one question on the second page. And I didn't get to replay the video to watch it, but there's a line that, it's second page, Ms. Maselli asked about the detail for the retaining wall. Mr. Colonna assumed it would be precast or modular blocks and assumed it to be 4 feet tall. I think we had a further discussion about that. The problem I have with that wall is that area of land is odd. You know, it goes up a hill. So at one point it's low and then it gets higher. And there's a bunch of different walls there now, a bunch of different materials. And I think we were talking about what we're going to do to make that uniform. But to be honest, I didn't get to watch the video last night. So could we wait on this one?
I think that is what was said. But if you'd like confirmation on that, then certainly we can review the tape.
No, I'm sure he probably did say that. I'm just concerned that there wasn't more discussion that brought in the question about it, because it is I think it's an integral part of the property. So that area is pretty messed up over there.
Yeah, well, just remember, the minutes aren't a transcript. So they don't include a word for word discussion. They're a summary and pretty much a record of the motions that were made.
I understand, but I think in some cases it's important to get, if there's questions that were, it sounds to me like his saying that kind of said, it's not a problem. I think it's thus, and it was just, that's okay. So if you don't mind, I'll watch it and I'll get back to you as.
Okay, thank you.
That'd be great. Yeah, we
Thanks.
don't mind.
And I only found one little typo.
Oh,
Okay.
It's not the end of the world. On page 1, last paragraph, 6th line down, Attorney Pember said that because this is such, I think he said that is, he was answering a question. It should be that is because such a unique design review approval. Just is after that.
Then,
He was defending the complexity. It should say that's because, not that because. That's all.
yeah,
It's
got it.
simple grammar. It's
No, I agree with you. That is the proper way of saying it. We'll make that change.
that's the
Okay.
OCD again.
I get the same problem. Typically, I miss that. So don't feel bad.
Okay.
All right, everybody. So I guess our next meeting will be 9/14. And thanks for coming today. And
Thank you. Thank you, Bob.
thank you, Bob and Lori, and all the members that came. All right, do I have a motion to adjourn?
I'll make a motion.
Second,
Okay, there's been a motion and a second. Lisa Maselli,
aye.
Dario,
Aye.
and Amy's and I. We'll see you guys in September.
Thanks.